creator for Monty Python, if you didn't know that.
Right, yeah.
He was the American Python.
The American Python.
But he's not a subtle guy.
No, not
So
at
the
all.
subtlety in this was a new touch for him.
Yeah, which gave me a lot more respect, even though I already had a lot of respect for Terry Gilliam. Stellan Skarsgård's character was super greasy, too.
Yeah. The villains in this were very interesting. I mean, they were very Gilliam, because he's notoriously sort of anti-authority, which is one of the reasons this took 30 years to come out. He's notoriously hard to work with for studios, because he's just going to do what he wants.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you and your money. This is my movie. I'm doing it my way, which produces very unique films that are a lot of fun to watch, because they're not an Avengers movie.
Yeah.
Which is sort of a pasty aesthetic most Hollywood blockbusters are getting right now, which there's nothing wrong with. Obviously, we love those movies here, but his are a different look, which is, it's nice to have a little bit of spice sprinkled in.
It is. And also, I wouldn't put it past him. I wouldn't put it past Terry Gilliam to be aware of the memes that have come about because of Python. Because there's literally an unexpected Spanish Inquisition in the middle of it. It's like, nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. And because I was not expecting that bit at all.
I loved that bit.
It was great.
Yeah.
I loved it. But, I mean, that was one of those dream sequences where you're like,
is this
dream?
Yeah.
And then they bust down the door and they're in Spain and it's the Inquisition. You're like, oh,
wait,
you sly
what? Yeah.
dog. Yeah, all the characters, all the side characters they felt so genuine.
Yeah.
I loved Raul. Like, the bartender.
Yeah.
Like,
well, upon rewatching the film, the trio of the bartender and his buddies, the ones who come out with the jousting thing, they become so much more sympathetic in that opening bit where he reintroduces himself to them, because you realize how much shit he has put them through. Like, they've been living with this long enough that they've developed a full set of tents and costumes and a script to deal with this guy. Like, this has become their reality for a decade, and they are pretty damn civil to him.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Man. There was a lot of also very gray characters, too. Like the assistant. And so it was the assistant, and then I think the technical lead, or who was he?
I'm not sure, but I know the character you're talking about. I don't remember what role he's filling.
Those two, I couldn't pin whether they were villain or friendly, or because they were very in between. Yeah. Very opportunist. Right. So it was really interesting. The characters were very gray. Except for the villains, which were very villain. Yes. Yeah. Oh, what was it? There was a scene where Adam Driver has half of his face covered in like decomposing like horse crap because he fell into it. Great, yes. And like something happens where Don Quixote beats someone over the head. They fall unconscious. Oh, it was when they like I'm totally blanking on it, but shit happens and you see Adam Driver, just kind of like take it all in, and just very calmly he goes, "What the fuck?" Yeah. Like, there was just a moment of just like realization of this is the most batshit thing I've ever experienced in my life.
He plays confused and enraged very well.
Yeah. I love his mustache in this too. Like it.
Very pretentious.
Very pretentious. All right, what was it you were showing me?
In the IMDb trivia section, we have in 2010, Robert Duvall and Ewan McGregor were announced to star. Oh. Dropped out for some reason. 2015, Jack O'Connell and John Hurt were cast in the lead roles. Oh. Dropped out.
John Hurt was
was dedicated.
Dedicated to.
Because he died shortly before it was released.
Yeah.
And apparently was gonna be Don Quixote at one point, which would have also made sense, though. I mean, Jonathan Pryce in a Terry Gilliam film is a hard to pass up on.
Yeah. Jonathan Pryce was great in this. John Hurt would have done a good job, too, though.
Oh, he would have, of course. He does a good job in everything.
It's true.
To take us off on a tangent, finally got a hold of the DVD set of Jim Henson's The Storyteller.
Wow. Okay.
I have been looking for ages, and it's always egregiously overpriced. It's like $80 for there's maybe 14 episodes between the two series. I can't afford to pay $80 for that.
Yeah.
But I finally found a used copy for $28.
Nice.
I bought it. And it is so delightful.
Yeah.
John Hurt is the narrator on the standard. I don't know. They're broken up into just the storyteller and the storyteller Greek myths.
Got it.
And Michael Gambon is the narrator of the Greek myths.
Oh.
And John Hurt is the standard.
I love Michael Gambon
series. It's just great. You should definitely check that out sometime.
I might have to borrow that from you.
Yep.
To continue on your tangent, I just recently finished watching, I don't know if you watch Defunct Land on YouTube. He did it was like an 8 to 10 part series on Jim Henson. And it was one of the most beautiful documentaries I've ever seen. And it was incredibly in depth. And the final episode was about his death and his the ceremony that was held for him. And by the end of it, I was bawling.
God,
I was literally bawling. But
it's an easy to cry at scenario.
Yeah, but if you ever want something to watch and you need a lot to watch, it's like a 10-part series, and they're all like 20 minutes each.
Which is why I have not embarked upon that one
but
yet.
But it's worth it. It's so...
Also,
it's a beautiful thing.
You know it's going to make you cry if you know the story already, so I only watch stuff at work. So...
Well, the last episode made me genuinely cry. There was a couple of episodes where it was sad, but like the last episode, I had to get my ugly tears out. Like it was bad.
Nice.
Anyways, back to the movie we're talking about.
Yes.
There was a lot of things in this movie that visual effects wise seemed not off, but not up to 2019 standards. But
sure,
as I was digesting the film, I think that was purposefully done.
Yeah, sort of his aesthetic.
Yeah. Well, that and like those things that were weird were also part of that fantasy.
Right.
And
like the eyes on the wine skins.
Yeah. Where it's just like, that's like Angry Orange or whatever YouTube of 2009 level graphics. But then it made you feel uneasy and it made you question everything else about that scene. And that turned out to be the Spanish Inquisition scene, you know? And so it was a full dream sequence and you're like, oh, okay.
Sure.
And so there were several scenes where you see that, but it was in non-dream sequences and you're just like, but there's just a couple scenes where it just was obvious that it was graphics, not graphics, but composited. That's the word, composited. And I think it was purposeful to make you question the validity of that scene.
Sure.
There's so much to, like... This is such a weird movie for me because I absolutely love it and never want to watch it again.
You might come around.
I might. Who knows? But yeah, Jonathan Pryce, great. Adam Driver is a gem. Yeah. Absolute gem.
There weren't any performances in this movie that were bad. They were all good. Yeah. It was all fun.
I loved the scene where Adam Driver he's kind of skulking around trying to find where the girl is. and he turns the corner, and there's just this creepy rocking horse with a dude in a cherubim outfit with a giant head rocking. You're like, what is this? And then it just stops and waves at him, and he pulls the head off, and it's the gypsy. And you're like, wait, what? There was several rug pulls of just bizarreness.
Oh yeah, of course there were.
Yeah.
The gypsy character was an interesting one. He sort of seems to almost play host to all of the insanity.
What else has that guy been in? He seemed really familiar.
Right? He was in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh.
Yep. As the Spaniard. The creative. Spaniard.
He was the cougar.
But I don't
losers.
know that I've seen much else. Because I did the same thing.
Yeah, there's not much else. A lot of Spanish films.
Right.
A lot of Spanish films. I mean, this was filmed in Spain. So.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Makes sense. But yeah.
But he was great.
He has
He has a presence, a very strong presence about him as an actor. Every time he appeared, you were like, oh, him.
Yeah. And you knew something was going to go down when he was around. This was an interesting film, and I would encourage anyone who hasn't seen it to go see it, if not just once.
Yeah.
You know, like it's one of those movies where I feel like my view of cinematography and filmmaking has expanded a bit because of watching this movie. Like, it's a piece of art. It really is a piece of art. And it should be admired.
Yes.
You have any final thoughts?
I do.
Uh-oh.
First of all, we need to talk about the brushing aside of the subtitles at the beginning of the film. And what a brilliant move that was.
That was great.
They're having a conversation. He says hello in English. The guy responds in Spanish. He responds in Spanish. It's all subtitled. And then he looks down at the subtitles and goes, we don't need these. Brushes them physically aside with his hand. Says, we understand each other perfectly. And the movie proceeds in English.
That was a brilliant scene.
I loved it.
I loved that. And he literally brushes them away. Like, his hand hits it and pushes the words out. It was so good.
He physically interacts with the subtitles on the screen.
Yeah, so good. There was a lot of little things to this movie.
Like, a good host looks after his hostages. It's a really great line. Is that the right word?
That's great. That is great.
It's a great line. Also, Don Quixote continuously referring to Sancho as his squirrel.
His royal squirrel.
Not his squire, his squirrel. His loyal squirrel.
His loyal squirrel.
That made me happy. Also, the poster design is really great. We have it pulled up here. And it is a good poster.
It's very Gilliam.
At least look at the poster if you're not going to watch the movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, there's the CD night in the middle of the bottom, in the palm.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
What?
It's all in the hand.
Yep.
It's being held up by a hand.
Yep.
It's not a giant's hand because the giants are in the hand.
Yep.
Huh.
It's a good poster.
It is a very good poster.
So our next episode is going to be a little bit delayed again because, you know, Ian's unpacking. I have to build Olaf.
Oh, God.
And Halloween is coming up.
That's true. But it being Halloween coming up is...
It's very appropriate. Our next episode is... It. Chapter 2.
Which I am so excited for. The first one...
The first one is the reason we started this podcast.
Yep. Even though it was what? Episode...
It was a way in there because we missed the theatrical release, so we did the DVD release.
That's true, yeah. But yeah. It was such a unexpected film for me because I am not a horror fan.
Yeah, same.
The original It is one of my least liked things of all time. And so when we decided to do it, I was blown away by how